All right, friends. Topic we're talking about today is plot, and this is the third time that I have tried to record this lesson. So we're going to try one more time. If it doesn't work, Miss Rice is going to be a little bit too frustrated to try again. Okay. Let's put the date at the top. 9 for September 24th, 2020. And the topic that we're talking about today is plot. So I need you to label this page plot. Now we've talked a little bit about plot before. So I'll go back to our literary elements notes page because plot is a literary element. It's an element that makes up a story, right? And the plot mostly consists of the conflict and the resolution. So basically, it's the story from beginning to end. And I have some little hand signals that go along with conflict and resolution that help us remember what plot is. Okay? Plot is the conflict. So you can bang your fists together and think about the problem. What's wrong in the story? Okay? What problem are the characters facing? The conflict. And then the resolution is when everything comes together and the problem is solved, okay? So the plot is made up of the conflict and the resolution. So that's a really simple way of remembering what plot is, okay? The conflict we're introduced to close to the beginning of the story, and the resolution happens at the end of the story. And the plot or the story is kind of like a roller coaster. So we're going to draw a picture of a little roller coaster hill here, okay? So start down low, work your way up, and then back down. So basically, this is the feeling you get in a story from beginning to middle to end, okay? This is the beginning of the story, getting closer to the end. This is like the crux, the most exciting part of the story, and how the problem of the story is solved. So we're gonna pretend we're a little guy on a coaster cart here, and we are getting ready to go for a ride. We are reading a story, and we're being introduced to the characters. We're getting excited. We don't know what's gonna happen yet, but we want to know. Okay? When we're being introduced to the characters and the setting and the conflict, this is called the rising action. The author's building anticipation. They're making you excited for the story, right? And this is when we are introduced to the characters, the setting, and the conflict. So often at the beginning of the story, we're going to find out who the story is about, where the story is taking place, and what the problem of the story is. Okay? As we read more and learn more about the story, we're going to reach like the crux, the most exciting part of the story. We're going to get to a part where it's usually around the middle or closer to the end of the story where you're reaching like a turning point. You're not exactly sure what's going to happen. So if I was using an example story of the Three Little Pigs, the rising action would be the part of the story where we learn about the three little pigs being brothers, they're building their house, and the big bad wolf is starting to come around and huff and puff and blow some houses down. There's a problem, right? That's the conflict of the story, is this big bad wolf huffing and puffing and blowing the houses down. The climax of the story is going to be when the big bad wolf is at the third little pig's house, and we're not exactly sure what's going to happen yet if you've never heard this story before. You know, it's an exciting part of the story because, well, is the big bad wolf really going to eat all of the little pigs, or is he going to make it out, right? So we're going to draw a little picture of our guy. He's going to lose his hat. His arms are up. Ah! He's having a good old time. He doesn't know what's going to happen next. He's excited. Okay? This is called the climax. Okay? And the climax is when the conflict is at a turning point. So in the Three Little Pigs, once the wolf gets to the third little pig's house, we kind of anticipate that something different might happen. Okay? We anticipate that maybe he's not going to get in, or we might be making predictions as to how the problem will be solved, because we don't really think that the wolf's going to get the third little pig because he's already gotten the first two, and then there's not going to be any pigs left, and then that would just be a tragedy. But we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. We're excited. We're anticipating what might happen. How is the third little pig going to solve this problem of the big bad wolf coming by and huffing and puffing and blowing the houses down? Okay, and then we reach what's called a point of the story called the falling action. And at this point in the story, the big bad wolf huffs and puffs, and the house doesn't blow down because it's made out of bricks, right? But the wolf's not going to give up that easily. He is going to try to go in through the chimney. But the third little pig, being clever, started a fire and started, boiling some water in a kettle to make dinner. Well, that was the guys, at least. And so the big bad wolf is not able to eat the third little pig because the third little pig was smart enough to outwit that big bad wolf, right? So he solves the problem. It's the falling action. So this is the conclusion, or how the conflict is solved. Or how the conflict is solved, right? So again, with our hand signals, we have the rising action. That's when we're introduced to the character, the setting, and the conflict, right? We can think of it as the fists together. What's the problem in the story? We reach the climax. That's the tipping point. It's like, what's going to happen next? I don't know. Is everything going to work out? And then the falling action is the conclusion, or how the conflict is solved. It's the resolution of the story, how everything comes together. So this really depicts what a story is like, right? And how a story is very much like a roller coaster. So what you're going to do is you're going to listen to a story, and then there's a drag and drop activity where you're going to drag the different parts of the story onto the roller coaster in the right areas. Okay? I'm going to write out what the rising action is, what the climax is, and what the falling action is. But I'm not going to tell you which one's which. You're going to have to drag them to the right locations. Okay?